talk a little boxing. Al Bernstein does a great job with Showtime. If you always get a chance to catch those guys, they do a wonderful job. It's always good to catch up with Al, talk a little boxing. How you been, pal?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's get right into it. Mikey Garcia and Broner. You know, I thought that was one of the best fights I've seen Garcia. I thought he did everything well, Al. I thought he had great balance. He never allowed Broner to catch him with counters. He was cutting off the ring. I think it was either you or Paulie mentioned during the broadcast when Broner started to kind of stand in the pocket, Garcia was able to take advantage of that. But what were your overall thoughts of Mikey Garcia's performance?
Yeah, Mikey Garcia is undefeated and has had some wonderful performances in his career, but I think this was the best for a variety of reasons. One, we know he's facing the biggest fighter he's ever faced, and probably the most powerful. This Broner is normally, he's a normal 140-pounder and has been up at 147, and so that made the performance, I think, even better by Garcia. And Mikey Garcia has always been technically one of the most proficient fighters in the sport of boxing. But I'll tell you what else impressed me about this fight. He fought with a certain urgency and zeal that, on occasion, we have not seen from Mikey Garcia because he's so good he can kind of lay back and get the knockout when he needs it. He threw about almost 800 punches in this fight, which is more than he normally throws. And I think that version of Mikey Garcia is not only excellent, but very fan-friendly.
How about the fact that he's not typically a body puncher, and he exploited that against Broner? He really went to the body. And, listen, we know that he needed to set the pace and the tempo because Broner was going to be a bigger, stronger guy. And I thought Broner did a poor job early on, not even fighting with urgency, trying to bank a couple rounds, but trying to frustrate or at least kind of rattle Garcia. Yeah. It just, the tricks that we were accustomed to see with him, he wasn't able to do that. So talk a little bit about the fact that Garcia was able to work the body and exploit that. And then I want to get your thoughts on what's next for Broner. Where does he go from here?
Yeah, in our fighter meeting, I had already made the keys to victory out, and I said to Mikey Garcia, I said, I know you're not normally a big body puncher all the time, but you are capable of it, and Broner gives you the body. That's one of the things he gives you, and people land a lot of body shots against him. And he said, I will go there more in this fight. He kind of smiled like I caught him, And of course he did do that. And as I said, Broner gives you that. And what it did was, there were times when it lowered Broner's guard, plus it scored, plus it slowed Broner down. Broner came into this fight with the idea of moving more. And he did move a lot in the first couple rounds, but that movement, was really stalled because of the body work by Garcia.
Got a couple minutes with Al Bernstein, Showtime's Al Bernstein. Don't forget, tonight you got ShoBox The Next Generation. That's 10:30. You have a WBC vacant IBF Super Middleweight Championship. Nikki Adler, great fighter out of Germany. Clarissa Shields, obviously the Olympiad. It's funny, too, Al, in female boxing, this. It's not like you need 15, 20 fights to have an opportunity to fight for a championship.
No, the depth of women's boxing. There are good fighters in women's boxing.
No doubt.
The depth in each division is not what it is in men's. So you are likely to get championships at a quicker point. And certainly Clarissa Shields, who has all that amateur experience and a name, is going to get it early. And this is going to be a very interesting fight. Adler is no soft touch. And for Clarissa Shields to be headlining this bout on Showtime, on ShoBox tonight, where my pals Steve Barrett and Raul Marquez and Barry Tompkins will be announcing, is a big deal.
Yeah, and I know Steve's got to get, I think he said, hip surgery in September. So I don't know if that's going to sideline him. I mean, I'll tell you what, you guys are fighting through, whether it's colds, whether it's bad hips, you guys never miss fights.
The rain, what's that old line about the post?
Oh, yeah, rain nor sleet nor snow, right? With the boxing guy.
Will prevent us from doing a fight. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Hey, let me get your thoughts just real quick. What would be, and then we'll get to the Mayweather-McGregor in a second. What's next really going down the road for Garcia? Because I know there was talk, now we know Lomachenko's already got an opponent, but I mean, where do you see Garcia? Do you see him moving up in weight? What's the expectations?
You go back down to 135 where Jorge Linares is fighting Luke Campbell, and Linares has not made it easy to make that fight for Garcia. I think it would be great to see Mikey Garcia at 135 take on Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares, for fans that may or may not know him, is just a very entertaining, terrific offensive machine whose only chink in his armor is that occasionally he's been hurt and he's been knocked out a couple times. And of course, Garcia brings that big power. But the offense of Garcia is such that it would make it a very, very entertaining fight. So I think that would be great to see. If he stays at 140, I'd love to. I'll tell you a really interesting fight would be Mickey Garcia against Adrian Granados, the man who just fought Adrian Broner.
Yep.
And the reason I say it is because even though Broner won a very close decision, which he could easily have gone the other way, it would be an action fight. Adrian Granados is very an action fighter who throws a lot of punches. Of course, we'd love to see Garcia against somebody like Terrence Crawford. It's just the politics of boxing make that difficult.
Yeah, and Granados has a couple knockouts in his career. I mean, he's 18-5-2, but he's got 12-13 knockouts, so a little pop there.
Yeah,
and
right. All 5 of those losses could easily have gone his direction. And I have a soft spot for Adrian Granados because he's one of those guys in boxing who has not gotten the major fights he should get. So I think that would be an entertaining match.
All right, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. August 26th. We know it's an event. We know it's. We know. I mean, listen. I had your boss. I had Steven Espinoza on. He, by his own admission, he said, "Rich, we know this is an event, whether we call it a circus or not." Mayweather, McGregor. Now, I thought a little bit of a hit today with McGregor, with Paulie kind of backing out with the sparring. Just it looks at it as, hey, this is a circus. Enough is enough. I don't believe McGregor is going to lay a glove on Mayweather. But let me ask you this. Do you believe that Mayweather wants to come in and really shut up Conor McGregor? Because the last thing Mayweather wants to do is even remotely get embarrassed, let alone an act of God that he loses the fight, which isn't going to happen.
Right. Well, that's an interesting question because Floyd Mayweather hasn't knocked anybody out since, I think, 2011 with Victor Ortiz. And that stoppage was, had its controversy. So I think there is the construct in which we could see Mayweather coming out and really going for it. That doesn't normally happen. The more likely scenario, is of course, and I could be appointed the Pope, which is possible too.
Are you? Let me ask you this: Are you? And listen, you're a Hall of Famer. You're a pros pro. You've been around the block. We know this. Is it going to be tough to get into that fight from a broadcasting? You got to sell it.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a very valid question. And one I absolutely refuse to answer. No, can I take this up to them?
Listen, you can. We'll have Espinoza on next week, and you know what? I'll give you a free pass on that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but I would like to phone a friend. Here's the thing about this, and the lead up to this fight is the part that's more difficult because look, this is a fight that happened, and this I think is a fair statement that no matter how people feel about this match, they would agree with. The reason this is happening is it's different than most events because most events in boxing or MMA, promoters and others perceive the interest in it and they put it out there, assuming people will come. This literally has happening because people seem to want to see it. They have pushed it. They want to see it. So that part is just that makes it kind of unique in a certain odd way, no matter how you feel about the event. Once we're into the fight, once the actual fight's in front of me, I'm in a safe zone because I can now do the fight like any other fight. If Conor McGregor is, as you point out, simply unable to do anything, we simply say it, and it's obvious, and we explain why maybe that's happening. So I'm fine once this fight starts. It's leading up to it that's, is probably the trickier part.
Listen, you're right. That's, it's almost like a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because people are spending the money. There's this train wreck car crash mentality where they want to see. Yes. You got the MMA fans that think, oh, maybe. Then you got the guys that want to see Mayweather lose, get knocked out, and then you see the boxing guys that, come on, this is going to be a joke. But you know what? I'll watch it regardless because that's what they do at the end of the day. It's still do you listen? I know I got you for another minute or so. Do you think this is going to be a trend going forward?
No, I think this is a one-off event in every regard. Although it's fascinating because Chris Cyborg, the MMA, it could be a trend in a different way, but a more positive way. Like Chris Cyborg, the MMA women's champion, is in Detroit tonight and is really taking an active role in this Clarissa Shields Adler fight. And she tweeted me that, maybe you'll get the call fight of mine pretty soon because I wouldn't mind trying women's boxing. Now, that's different because she will fight somebody of note. She will probably prepare for months to get ready to do it, which would be fine, and it'd be the appropriate level of challenge. So that would be kind of interesting. But for the most part, I don't think we're going to see this influx of MMA fighters fighting boxers, especially not in boxing matches.
No, and the irony is I let you get out here, and then we see Heather Hardy, a great boxer who tries her hand in MMA. So maybe it might go the opposite. Who knows?
There's a lot of women. No, that's different. And Amanda Serrano is doing it. Holly Holmes did it effectively. But they have to do it the right way. They have to take months, which is Amanda Serrano's doing it, months and months working on the various disciplines so that they can at least be proficient at a couple of the disciplines.
Al, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Hey, good luck. What do you got? August 12th, Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame induction ceremony as well. You'll be co-hosting that?
Hosting that with the lovely Christina Poncher.
She's great. Al, always a pleasure, pal. I appreciate you making time for me.
Thank you.
All right, take care of yourself. Al Bernstein from Showtime. Don't forget about that card this evening. You got Clarissa Shields, you got the Olympian, and you got